Hello, everybody. Good afternoon. Brothers and sisters, I am very, very happy to be here once more. I think this famous city, once I have been here, seeing what called the bell, liberty. Although there is some crack. So I really feel now we must fill up that crack through our own effort, through awareness. So then, here, this time, I came on the invitation mainly from the Kalmic community. So the Kalmic people we always, I think, have sort of same experience. Firstly, the whole Mongols, including Kalmic, Buryat, and Mongolia, and also Tuva in Russian Federation. All these community, we are sharing same Tibetan Buddhism. Then in 20th century, the Kalmic people face immense difficulties during Stalin time. And then later, we also sort of experience more or less same. So therefore, we have some very sort of close, what's the day?
Similar experience. Similar experience.
Similar
experience.
I can't hear. What?
Similar experience.
Love that.
So with the Tibetans and Kalmicians, we have a similar experience.
So after 59, of course, before 59, when I was in Tibet, even my own birthplace area, Kumbum Monastery, there are many Mongolians, including Kalmic Mongols. Then in Lhasa, many top scholars in the big monasteries around Lhasa, actually Mongols, Mongolian, Kalmic, Buryat, Mongolian, Inner Mongolian, Outer Mongolian. So we have very, very close link. So whenever I meet people from this area, I feel something very close feeling. So indeed, I am very happy Now, we are in 21st century. The 20th century, in a way, century of violence, century of bloodshed. 2 world wars, Korean War, Vietnam War, and also many civil wars in that century. So millions of people killed. Within the century, I think human beings' way of thinking, I think a big change. In the early part of 20th century, concept of war as something normal. And many people feel war is unavoidable. So actually after 2 World War, the Second World War, many people prepare for Third World War. But it never happened. Instead, I think many, positive signs. Now, for example, my first visit in Kalmik, I think Kalmik, maybe including Kalmik or not, I can't remember very clearly. But my first visit Mongolia through Soviet Union, that was 1979. Still totalitarian regime. But that eventually transformed with the disappearance of Berlin Wall. Many changes happened. These changes not come through war, but come through popular peace movement. And also in Latin America. And some other places. I think one example, like a Philippine dictator, again changed by popular movement. So these things very positive sort of change. Now people started China. Basically, same one-party system, totalitarian regime. But in reality, today's China, compare 30, 40 years ago, much changed, still changing. So the war and peace, I think peace really gaining strength or upper hand. And actually talking or some steps reduce nuclear weapons. And talking now the total ban of nuclear weapons. These things, something very encouraging thing. And then, in the early part of 20th century, nobody talking about importance of environment. Now, later part of 20th century, not only people talking about environment issue, but even political parties based on, the ecology sort of issue. So those green parties. So these are big change. And then also the early part of 20th century or 19th century, 18th century, I think, the people have the view science and spirituality as something two separate things. Now, in the later part of 20th century, now in the science, in the field of science also, now talking about emotions or mind. So with that interest about spirituality, which is dealing with emotion, also now growing. Sushas, I can come closer. My English very poor. Never progress. And worse, now getting older. So my English also getting older. So I need his help. So he remained far, a little bit sort of afraid. I think that's wrong. No danger. Come closer. So, I feel humanity, generally speaking, becoming more mature. I think our thinking becoming more wiser. Of course, like terrorism, these things are very, very unfortunate, but that's the small number involved. But generally speaking, I think desire for peace and also attraction towards concept of non-violence is now everywhere. In this country, like Luther King, Martin Luther King. He, freedom struggle, right for less privileged people through non-violence. He strictly followed Mahatma Gandhi's, a principle. So one time I met his widow, his wife, I met. She told me that Martin Luther King so much attracted towards Gandhi, Mahatma Gandhi. So even he want to dress like Mahatma Gandhi. His wife told me. And then I felt, it's a little bit strange. One African American, dressed like Mahatma Gandhi, perhaps with one stick, without a wristwatch, but one pocket watch here. In a way, not practical, like that. And then South Africa, under the leadership of Nelson Mandela, the transformation of South Africa through non-violent way. So these are, I think, the basis of our hope. And this century definitely will be more peaceful, more happier world can be. Meantime, we have to make effort in order to achieve genuine peaceful world. Two things: external disarmament and internal disarmament. These two things are very important. And there are talks reducing weapons. And some Nobel laureate already making some effort, arms trade, particularly to those nations whose sort of system not very peaceful, whose country not very peaceful. So some kind of sort of movement for checking arms trade. So now, in order to achieve external disarmament, of course, step by step, not overnight. Some of my friends have one suggestion in order to achieve less risk of war is they create unified force, like Franco-German unified force. One my great friend, not only friend, but a teacher for quantum physics for me. One late German professor, von Weizsäcker, great physicist. I sort of got lesson from him. Several occasions, lecture on quantum physics. But the teacher, great, but the student, rather hopeless. Because, when I listen, when I getting lecture or explanation about quantum physics from him, then it seems I understand something. I learn something. But as soon as session finish, nothing left here. So that means hopeless student. So he once told me, when he was young German, in his eyes, every French is their enemy. Similarly, in the eyes of French, Germans are their enemy. But that kind of sort of attitude completely changed. So even Franco-German unified force created under the leadership of Adler and Tele-Tuko, I think. So like that. So then that's the best guarantee, no risk or no danger of because of the military conflict. So European Union, hopefully, eventually unified force, then no longer any sort of conflict, military conflict. And with this sort of idea in the European Parliament, and also some my sort of, occasion, some occasion, Nobel laureate meeting or like that, I express some of my dreams. I express the European headquarters should move towards east, Eastern Europe, like Poland, some of this area. Then the center of Europe. The NATO headquarters should move to Moscow. Then unnecessary fear, unnecessary distrust, then can remove. So in any way, one method is unified force on a regional basis, then eventually worldwide sort of unified force, then individual countries, military force completely abolish. So through that way, we can achieve demilitarized world. Then it is, I think, really very, very safe. And secondly, many factories which producing weapons then can reduce. For environment issue, for economy issue, for both fields, I think some benefit. In any way, in order to carry some effort, some program towards that line, firstly, we need inner disarmament. Must reduce hatred, jealousy, suspicion, distrust, fear. How to develop? Through injection? No. Through surgery, maybe. The part of our brain which contains the fear, anger, jealousy. If that part is removed, then other part of brain eventually may replace. So therefore, unless whole brain take out, then we will die. So therefore, you see the peaceful mind, in order to develop peaceful mind, compassionate mind, through operation is impossible. So, and then on this planet, there is no shop who are selling peace of mind. So logically, peace of mind must develop within ourselves through training, through awareness. So usually you see people who have more compassionate mind, then obviously less quarrel, less fighting. According to scientists, the monkey, young monkey, with their mother, and some young monkey separated from their mother. Then eventually they found those young monkey who remain with mother, always playful, peace, happy. Those young monkey who separated from their mother, always in bad mood and ready to fight. So, human compassion or affection really make big differences. So the counterforce of fear, anger, hatred, jealousy is the compassion, love. Now compassion or human affection basically biological factor. Because we need that. We, everybody, including some animals, some birds, their survival depend entirely on their parent and early life at their young age. How are those dogs, cats? After birth, their survival entirely depend on mother's care. We human beings also like that. So because of that factor, emotionally, there must be something which brings that kind of affectionate effort. The mother, including birds or these animals, even sort of willing to sacrifice their own, ready to sacrifice life for sake of their offspring. We human beings also, the mother, so dear, generally. Of course, sometimes quite stupid mother also there. But generally, normal way is the mother take full care about their child. So recently I noticed, I think my flight, long flight, perhaps from Tokyo to America, some time ago, a few months ago. Or this time also I noticed, from London to America, I think. I noticed, two couple with, I think, two children. One occasion, the night flight, 7 hours, I think 7 hours. So one boy, okay, little older way, bigger, one quite small. The whole night is that small one, never sleep, running and shouting or crying. So the father, at the initial stage, father also taking care that child. And after some time, father simply lay down, sleep. Then the whole night, the mother, without sleep, always running, follow that young, active young boy, maybe boy or girl, I don't know. Like that. The next morning, her eye become red. I notice. So mother, taking special care. That kind of energy should bring by certain emotion. That is love, affection. So in order to survive, their offspring need special care from the mother. For that, there is certain element in the emotion which brings that kind of energy. That's love, compassion, or affection. So this is a biological factor. I think biological factor is something quite interesting. According to some scientists, when human anger develops, the blood circulation more in muscles of hand. That means ready to fight. Then fear develop, then blood circulation more in muscles of leg. That means for run away. Strange, isn't it? So emotions and the biological sort of, because of the physical conditions, very much because of the, what's say, cooperation. So they taking care of other, that kind of energy, special energy, must bring out of certain emotion. That's the affection. So therefore, that's I usually call basic human values. Universal value. Nothing to do with religion. That I call secular ethics. So from the birth till death, the foundation of our survival, foundation of our happiness, our happy life, including physical well-being, very much based on human affection. So that's human value, but not come from religion. So secular values, secular ethics. So the promotion of that or strengthening that also through secular ways. That's my number one sort of commitment or lifelong commitment. Till my death, I committed to promote human values, human affection through secular ways. So using our common sense, common experience, then scientific findings. Now scientists, mainly I think medical scientists, they are now found the people who have more compassionate mind, their physical well-being is much better. Even recover from illness much faster. And now here, the trust between patient and nurses or physicians are a key element for speeded recovery. Or trust. How? What is the basis of trust? Compassion. Fear brings distrust. Compassion brings trust. Anyone who lives surrounded by trusted people always feel happy. Even physical condition or even the material facilities are poor. Doesn't matter. Feel happy, safe, secure. Other hand, a luxurious way of life, but without trust, fear, suspicion, then that person will never be a happy person. I notice some billionaire, very rich, but as an individual human being, a very unhappy person. So, happiness, mental level, happiness, physical level, well-being, healthy, must depend on human affection. So, and then also, you see, medical scientists, some say, hatred, strong anger, fear, eating our immune system. In any way, weaken our immune system. Compassionate mind, increasing our immune system, or at least sustain. So, these are basic human values. And for a happy life, these things are very, very essential. I think this is important to know. Otherwise, sometimes people get the impression compassion or forgiveness, these are religious matter. Those people who have no particular interest about religion, then they also neglect about these values. That's totally wrong. Whether you accept religion or not, that's up to individual. But everybody wants a happy life, a healthy body. We are doing jogging or some yoga exercise. These also is good, but one key factor is peace of mind. So, now that is one level, promote human value. Secular way. Now, I think it is important to know the affection or compassion, two levels. One, compassion, mainly biological factor, that is usually biased and mostly focused on the action or attitude. So it is limited. That kind of limited affection or compassion can extend only towards your friend. That affection cannot extend towards your enemy because their attitude is negative towards you. Since that compassion based on attitude, much depend on attitude or focusing on attitude. Now through training, through awareness, like we are social animals. So individual future entirely depend on the rest of the community. Now, for example, my own case, I'm one of the 6 billion human beings. My future entirely depends on the rest of the 6 billion human beings. 6 billion human beings suffer trouble. I, one single person, cannot escape from that. So therefore, and particularly now, modern reality, global economy, environment issue, due to all these sort of new factors, the individual interests entirely depend on the rest of the community, rest of the people. There is no independent, isolated, absolute interest for one individual. That's a fact. So according to that reality, now our century-old concept we and they is no longer relevant. We must look entire 6 billion human beings as a part of we. Like part of one body. Hand, leg, separate, different, but part of your body. So if something goes wrong here, our hand must extend help. It is foolish. It's leg. This is not hand. So let them care. This is wrong. Still part of your body, so you have to help. Like that. The rest of the human being, rest of the humanity is part of you. So we have to extend our care, our concern. So using these reasons through awareness, we can extend our affection, our compassion, then beyond our immediate friend, to strangers, finally to enemy. As far as attitude is concerned, some people are negative towards to you. But still they are part of the human being, part of our society, part of our community. Indirectly or directly, my interests some way link with them. So we have to take care. So our affection, our compassion can extend towards our enemy. That's unbiased compassion. That's real compassion. Unbiased, unlimited, based on being itself, not attitude. So that we need more effort. Other limited compassion by physical product automatically come. But this second level, we have to train. We have to, because of that. We have to achieve that through training. So that is basically we human beings need human affection. It is the basis of our future, basis of our happiness. Now for that, I feel 3 ways to promote that. Number 1, as I mentioned earlier, through secular ways, promote that. Number 2, theistic religion, Christianity, Judaism, Islam, mainly these 3. Because monolithic monolithic religion, right? Because
It is monotheism. Monotheism, which believes in a single God.
Yeah. So in any way, theistic religion. So all the major religious traditions carry same message of love, compassion. With that, forgiveness, tolerance, contentment, self-discipline. All religion talks same. And all religion have the same potential or same effect to bring these inner values to human being. So now, one unique thing about theistic religion, God creator, God creates world, God creates us, one individual. For example, our this very life created by God. So that concept brings us feeling of intimacy with God. Closer feeling. There is more tendency to willingness to follow God's God's wish. Like that. Very powerful. We notice such wonderful men and women among the followers of this different tradition, like late Mother Teresa. And there are many wonderful people. In India, I noticed some remote Indian village. material facility very poor, but in health field as well as education field, some Catholic nuns, they say no concern about their individual well-being or because of the facility. They totally dedicated for the welfare of the local poor people. All these effort, all this sort of enthusiasm, you see, come from their belief God. The immense sort of service to humanity, because they respect, because they also believe God and implement God's wish. Like that. So, one method or one way of promotion of human compassion, human love is theistic religion. Then non-theistic religion, mainly Jainism and Buddhism. I think in Asia, historically, although the Jainism and the Buddhism had almost, I think, same period. Buddha Shakyamuni and Mahavir, I think, same period. About 2,500 years ago, about 2,600 years ago, like that. But Jainism, not that much sort of spread all Asia, whole Asia. But Buddhism eventually spread whole Asia. Sri Lanka, Burma, Thailand, Cambodia, Laos, Vietnam, China, Japan, Korea, and Tibet, Mongolia, like that. In ancient time, in Afghanistan, these area also, once Buddhism flourished. So now about Buddhism. I think Jainism and Buddhism both believe law of causality. That is something like evolution, causes and condition. And condition or result, causes and condition produce certain result. That again cause another event. That event cause another event. Like that way. Since Big Bang, all these things cause and condition, cause and effect, go like that. Big Bang itself, there must be causes. Obviously, tremendous sort of energy. So that energy explodes. So that energy come from, there must be causes. These causes, as the result, so they are their own causes. So beginningless. That's the law of causality. So since we want happy life, successful life, inner peace, so these depend on its causes or conditions. So ultimately, compassion and friendship, trust, these are the basis of happiness. Therefore, the more we concern about happy life, we have to pay more attention about sources, causes of this happy life. So that's the law of causality. Now Buddhism. Now suppose some sort of explanation about Buddhism. Buddhism, of course, historical part, after Buddha I think one period, the Sanskrit Pali tradition is the dominant. Perhaps, and now in Pakistan, Takshashila Center. Then, I think since first century, then in Bihar, the Nalanda institution started. Then next few centuries, Nalanda institution was the key Buddhist learning center. There, the many Nalanda masters then use Sanskrit language. So eventually, the Pali tradition and the Sanskrit tradition, two things. So Burma, Sri Lanka, Thailand, Cambodia, and Laos, in these areas, mainly these Buddhism in these countries, mainly in Pali tradition. Then China, Vietnam, Japan, Korea, Tibet, Mongolia, these Sanskrit tradition. Now Tibet case, in 8th century, in China, I think I think 3rd century, 4th century, Buddhism reached China. So Chinese Buddhist, I usually say, describe Chinese Buddhists are our senior student of Buddha. Of course, Thai, Sri Lanka, these are senior most, eldest. Then, as far as Sanskrit is concerned, then China is senior. Then Tibetan, 8th century, later. So, junior student. So I always, whenever I give teaching or lecture on Buddhism to Chinese Buddhists, I always make salutation. Meantime, I also jokingly telling them, as far as knowledge is concerned, junior student sometimes better. I think because in 8th century, the person from India go to Tibet, went to Tibet, then flourish, establish Buddhism in Tibet. That person, Shantarakshita, the Tibetan emperor invited him. So Shantarakshita was one of the top scholar of Nalanda institution.
In fact, he is the one who himself founded a different system of the middle way Buddhist philosophy. And this system is typically known as the Yogacarya Swatandrika Madhyamika.
So, he, one of the top scholars, so himself invited by Tibetan emperor and went to Tibet. So Tibetan usually believe that scholar, Shantarakshita, live about 1,000 years. I think we Mongolians, Kalmicians also I think believe same way. But according to Indian historian, some Buddhist historian, some my friend, they told me the Shantarakshita lived about 100 years. When he went to Tibet, his age around 75. Then rest 25 years he spent in Tibet. So these Indian scholars, he told me, not 1,000, but 100. But Tibetan is a font, sort of miracle, long life. So it's a Tibetan put 10,
0 extra.
So 100 make 1,000. So in any way, is it that great Indian master, personally take the full responsibility to establishment of Buddha Dharma in Tibet. So he, great philosopher, monk, great philosopher, great logician. So naturally, a teacher like that, he wants his student become like that. So he emphasizes importance of learning, importance of study. Whereas in Chinese tradition, some masters emphasize importance of meditation, not much study. So that makes differences.